You're watching special pre-event coverage of the 2026 NADA show exclusively on CBT News.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Welcome into another edition of Driving Solutions right here at CBTnews.com. Dealers today are facing a tough reality. Affordability is tighter and the traditional showroom process just isn't keeping up with today's customers. That's where AutoFi comes in. AutoFi is helping dealers rethink the entire sales journey. Joining us today are Kevin Singerman, who's the CEO and co-founder of AutoFi, and Joe St. John. I know you know this gentleman. He's a brand ambassador at AutoFi. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for having us, Jim.
Sure. So, Kevin, industry forecasts point to a tough year ahead in 2026 with flat to kind of modest growth. From AutoFi's perspective in digital commerce, what can dealers do to win in this environment? What are you seeing that is working to kind of rethink the customer sales experience from online to showroom to drive growth and profits in a challenging market ahead?
Great question. So what we've found is building trust throughout the sales experience is what unlocks financial gains. Mm-hmm. As an industry, we started with digital retail, right, to create online engagement and trust. So what did we realize the past 7 to 10 years? 97% of deals are still completed in store. Mm-hmm. And that is where we see the breakdown in consumer experience happens, and that is what the dealer opportunity cost is for us to go out and seize. Mm-hmm. So if you ask most people what do they not like about the typical experience at the store, they'll say it's the back and forth during the negotiation. Yep. It feels secretive and like arbitrary.
Absolutely.
They don't really know where they are in the process, and it creates this feeling that they're somehow being taken advantage of, right? Yeah. And like, what does that do? Like, that erodes trust in the deal. Yep. Trust and hurts profitability. So we found there's a better way, and we've been on a 3-year journey to really build this with our customers, mm-hmm. and that's rolling out an entirely new customer-centric selling showroom experience, mm-hmm. where every customer sees options very clearly on the screen, whether they work side by side with salespeople on price structuring, and customers trust numbers that you are showing them on a screen and computer. Mm-hmm. They trust it a lot more than a piece of paper. Sure. Yeah. And so we've seen some really interesting new behaviors emerge. Customers are desking their own deals with the guardrails that the store is built in around profits, and there's less negotiation on the front end, because the customer is figuring out what is the right term and down for me to make the payment fit for my budget and this car without the dealer having to give up gross, right? And then the other thing that we see is you can go through this process in 30 minutes or less. So you're going to F&I, the customer's feeling good, mm-hmm. they're happier, they've built a rapport, yep. And they're ready to listen and buy. And what we found over the past year and a half having this market, the results speak for themselves. Mm-hmm. Profitability is way up on deals that are done this way, $300 to $500 more per gross per deal.
Wow.
It's a much more efficient process because it's faster. Salespeople touch more customers. Mm-hmm. And one of the big challenges of the industry is like sales retention, right? And so this is a way where you might have some volatility in the sales force. You don't need to continually replace people. And like as you grow, you can do less with more. Yeah. And then the other thing that we uncovered is we were able to match back customers that go through this process with online Google reviews and found that there is meaningfully more 5-star reviews for a person who goes through this experience, and importantly, almost eliminating 1- and 2-star reviews, right? Because wow. we know like when like you're in a market, it's expensive to acquire new customers. Mm-hmm. You want that customer for life, to service with you, for their family to buy more cars. And like that is a really important retention around lifetime value. And we think going back to creating trust in the whole sales experience, that's a winning strategy when you're confronted with the market with the headwinds here.
Kevin, you just explained the perfect scenario. I now want to get back into retail automotive because it's 2025. Where have you been? This has been, this is phenomenal for dealers. And I'm excited to take the demo on this because this is exactly what we have been waiting for at the showroom level. I mean, this cures a number of ills that start with the consumer, go to the salesperson, go to the F&I, the desk manager. Everyone, it seems to me, is going to be welcoming this kind of an approach, right?
That's right. I mean, I think it's, hey, maybe we thought we were going to start here to begin. I think when we started the company about 10 years ago, the prevailing view at the time was everything was going to move online, right? Yeah. And I think the reality set in. Buying a car is a complicated transaction.
For sure.
It's just not clicking a button like for like a pure e-commerce deal, and people want to talk to people, right? It's like that human connection, and so connecting that online with the in-store experience, we think is going to be the magic to truly elevate the industry to a much more modern, better customer-centric experience that unlocks a lot of profitability.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Joe, when it comes to transforming the showroom experience, many dealers understand, why change is needed for the reasons that we just talked about, but struggle with how is really what it's all about. What advice do you give to dealers who want more to move forward, but are worried about adoption, training, and disrupting their teams? These are very valid concerns that dealers have, right? I mean, you go to a dealership and say, hey, we're going to change some things, namely your sales process, and they're like, whoop, timeout. You need to hold my hand during this process. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I love that question. And I think that the first thing a dealer needs to know is it's real.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm sitting in a finance office at a dealership in Olathe, Kansas, that was closed on in September, installed AutoFi in October with our change management team. And I'm going to talk a lot about that. And last December, they sold 34 new cars by installing AutoFi's seamless checkout experience with frictionless pricing. This December, they sold 165 new cars. And you don't see a transformation like that happen very often in our industry.
Yeah, very rarely.
And it's it's a dealership. It's a real dealership. I'm in an F&I office. I can't make the phone stop paging in here for some reason, right? I've got really green salespeople outside. Right. I've got a mix of some crusty old dogs. It's a normal dealership. And what you see
crusty old dogs. You say that affectionately.
I'm like Vinny the veteran. Hey, bud. And what's wild is you see across that people that when they see the power of this to transform the way that it feels for a customer and what that means in both their ability to close a car deal and hold gross, lights go on. But to do that, you have to build belief. And one of the things that I really appreciate Kevin's investment in and support on is building out a team of change management that is not your normal technology solution. Turn it on. Here's some videos you can watch. Hope for the best. We have a team of retail operatives at AutoFi that are former sales managers and GSMs that have worked in stores that have transformed from being low-performing stores to being incredible performing stores. Right. And when we install our showroom solution, they spend real time, not in a classroom in the break room with a whiteboard trying to describe how to do it. They actually show everyone how to go close car deals in a seamless and easy fashion. Right. And they will camp out at the desk as an additional sales manager to basically get belief. We call them meerkat moments. You have this moment where Vinny the veteran has this customer and it's all about interest rate and the salesman says, okay, you're going to do it in AutoFi. Well, and then they go out there and they follow our simple closing process. They turn their screen to the customer and they say, great. So with 10% down at 60 months, you're at a 782 payment. Is that what you would like to do? And the customer starts playing around with it. And they say, okay, well, let's see what kind of rates we can get submitted. They see 3 offers from the banks and they go, okay, I'll do that one. And the salesperson comes back they just closed. And every other salesperson kind of meerkats all looks up and turns their head what just happened there? And you start to build this momentum. And what's wild to me is it's technology is enabling us as the dealer community to, I think, install systems and processes that we've always wanted to be able to install, where I can look at a car deal and see who changed what and what happened in a way that to my customer feels I think how it should feel or how they kind of expected it should feel.
Sure.
And It's more than just the checkout experience, right? At this store, in the greeting, they talk about how I'm never going to run back and forth to a wizard in a broom closet to get information for you. I'm going to turn my screen and we're going to build your deal together in a way that makes the most sense for you and your family. And like, it's part of that culture and that systems and processes that they execute with discipline on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that what dealers need to understand is, one, it's real. Like, it is real.
Yeah.
We have stores all over the world. You've seen people like JB Burnett from Preston talking about, holy crap, we just sold 150 cars using AutoFi to check out customers. Stores like Oaks, Kiev, Olathe, right, where it's real. Secondly, if you were to ask the sales managers at the desk here, if you were to pull Bruce into this office and say, hey, what'd you think about Auto? Like, well, I didn't know. I was a little nervous about it. Well, what do you think about now? Bro, it's amazing. Like the transition when they see it is much easier than what you think at a dealership, because it's still working a car deal, right? I'm still getting back from a test drive. I'm just not waiting at the desk for 30 minutes for someone to hand me a sheet of paper with Sharpie all over it to go show to a customer. I'm turning my screen and going, okay, how do you want to do this? Let's build your deal together.
That's
and
a
when
beautiful
you do
thing. That is a beautiful thing.
Jim, I've closed hundreds of car deals using AutoFi now.
Yeah.
Kevin sent me on the road for like 8 weeks, I think it was, Kevin, where I had to like secret boss at stores. I would show up and they give me the golf shirt with like the dealership logo, and I would just start selling cars with AutoFi to figure out like the kinks and the things that we were working through on the product. And I heard customers say to me a word track I've never heard before, which is, I'll do that one. And as a salesperson who spent my whole life in retail, it's so powerful. And so the second thing is that adoption is not as hard as you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like you think, oh, it's going to disrupt everything. It doesn't really.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is the dealers that have the most success with it, right? The dealers that are doing 100% of their car deals through AutoFi and they're going from here to here in a market that's really challenging are dealers that have a high level of accountability for following some sort of system and process, right? So if you're following a good like installing AutoFi is not a panacea that's going to solve everything for you. But if you're a good dealer who has a good sales process and your people are well trained and they're executing your sales process every day, this slots in, makes one small adjustment, and you watch 15 unit a month salesperson all of a sudden hit 30 units a month. Wow. That's where it really starts to that's where the value I think is the most realized. Yeah. And what's cool is Kevin and I there's an entire team of people that can support a dealer in refining those processes, installing those processes, and showing managers and leaders how to hold people accountable to them.
I would imagine too, Joe, that in the situation that you just described, you're going to be welcomed with open arms from the sales department on a program like this. I'm putting my salesperson hat on right now. As a salesperson, you don't like going to the tower or the desk any more than anyone else does. I mean, that is a grind right there. It's a no-win situation. What you're doing with AutoFi right now is you're actually taking that in-home experience and putting the consumer right in the driver's seat. And all you're doing as a sales associate, correct me if I'm wrong, is guiding them through this without, by the way, chopping gross, okay, another 1,000 off, another $2,000 on the trade, another, now we're down to retention on the interest rate, and the dealer's going, what's going on here? So we've known in the industry there has to have been a better way, and it sounds to me like at AutoFi you have found that better way. So it would seem to me that when you all go into the stores, you're going to be welcomed with open arms to go, this is a no-brainer for us, right? So, I mean, when you talk about changing processes.
Put your salesperson hat back on again, right? Remember the days of your feet hurting because you've been on the lot, working deals. It's the end of the month. You've got to get to that unit. Yeah. And deals don't happen like one every hour on the hour on our schedule as a dealer, right? Like it comes in these massive waves. There's 3 hours.
3 o'clock on a Saturday, forget it.
Exactly. And then I need this deal. And this customer's in a hurry. And then I go walking to the desk and it's in a big glass office and it looks like a boiler room in there. And there are 3 or 4 people in line in front of every manager. My heart starts racing because I know as that time takes on, my probability of closing this customer is going down.
And if you close it, you've gone away with any gross that you thought you had because time is a gross killer, right?
Absolutely, Jim.
No question about it.
You said open arms. I would caveat that for 2 things. One, at first people are scared. They're like, what is this? What are we going to do? Yeah. And then the second time you visit the store, I had a salesperson come up to me at this store who sold like 47 cars in October, something crazy,
Wow.
right? Like numbers you don't hear about. By himself, not like a bunch of assistants.
Yeah, right.
Walked up and shook my hand and thanked me for AutoFi.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and to me, that's what feels so great about this.
Yeah, that's
right.
great.
Because that guy matters like that. And that's what drives, that's, as a dealer, that's what fuels every dollar on your financial statement.
That's right. Now was that Vinny the veteran? I've got
no, it was not.
Vinny the veteran.
That was Justin, who's now a sales manager because he's got it.
So let me ask you, Kevin, vehicle affordability continues to be obviously a major obstacle to sales right now, with the average price of a new car exceeding $50,000. How are new tools changing how sales teams engage customers to get the right vehicle at the right payment that really sets them up for, a profitable transaction for the dealer? So it's not a race to the bottom. So dealers aren't thinking, oh my God, here we are now in a post-COVID world, and we're challenged now to maintain any gross profit in these deals.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and it's all about how do you avoid the trap of a customer wanting a car that they can't afford, which leaves very little room to actually structure a profitable deal for the dealer.
That's right.
And so, like, the goal is, like, in like these tools, is how do you get customers and salespeople to easily discover vehicles that meet their preference and budget? And what we found, the challenges in the industry is that the existing websites, even standalone DR on a single vehicle, and in-store desking were not really built to easily service a customer's financial options across a single store or like group inventory. Mm-hmm. You have to click through many screens. It creates a lot of friction, and just the whole sense of understanding customer affordability across inventory management were really never congealed together. Right? They've lived separately, and it's just hard to find information and act on it, and people give up. Right? So I think the beauty of the introduction of a lot of these new AI voice and agent technologies is it helps us completely rethink the problem. Right? And we can start to break down these walls. Now you can have a conversation as a customer or even a salesperson and start to easily search and find vehicles that are much more tailored to a customer's specific financial needs. Yeah. So what does that mean, right? So as a dealership, I'll be now able to engage my customers in all marketing channels, whether it's email, text, social, retargeting campaigns, and I can bring my inventory as a dealer to wherever a customer wants to interact with me, and they can now speak on the phone just like they do with ChatGPT and ask questions about trying to understand, like, for my lifestyle, the vehicle that I'm looking for, the right payment for me, and then the agent having the intelligence, right? Because I think the market's not ready for agents to start selling cars, but to hand it over to a salesperson in the store so they can pick up that conversation and sort of nurture that sales process, and doing, really what is the hard part of getting them to engage and starting to land on a vehicle and payment that's right for them.
Right.
So this technology is really going to change the game. And I think what we've done over the past 10 years, which, you've heard me and Joe talk about, is all the hard work around figuring out how to digitize a deal and now make that really accessible by just talking and easily searching, right? Without having to click through a lot of screens. And I think that's going to break down a lot of the walls for customers to much more easily place themselves in cars that are the right budget and for them in the dealership.
Yeah, for sure. I'm putting on my desk manager's hat for a second here. And I'm thinking this is also a dream come true for the desk managers, because as a former desk manager myself in my automotive career, that can be just as painful for the salesperson standing on the other side of that desk and thinking, all right, here I am swamped with deals. I'm going to probably make a mistake somewhere along the line, whether it be on the appraisal or the gross profit, whatever it might be. I'm already getting my sales people mad at me because I'm not doing it quick enough, right? And it sounds to me like this is a beautiful option for that sales manager to say, wait a minute, if I've got 10 salespeople out there and 8 of them are working deals, I've got 8 mini desk managers out there working deals while I'm also holding gross profit. Right? Did I get that right? I mean, that sounds like a beautiful scenario for the tower or the desk team, right?
That's right. I like think like the beauty of the technology when you talk about what we're doing with the showroom, and now the ability to like easily query across my store and group. If I don't have my car there, maybe I have it down the block,
Right.
and just start presenting the right vehicle for the customer to make that process smoother. And I think what's important, like what you brought up, is that it actually releases the sales manager from behind the desk.
Right.
They can get on the floor now, right?
Yeah.
They can actually add value. They can work with the customer, work with the salesperson,
Yep.
and they just don't need to be, as Joe talked about, that sort of wizard behind the tower, right? And like actually, they can provide more value, helping those deals along, with each of those salespeople. That's
Which both
right.
the consumer and the salesperson like to have that, that added help on the showroom floor, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Joe, let me ask you, you're hosting a session at NADA that's come right up around the corner here. So, alongside retail operators from Preston Automotive, Oaks Kia, and Riverhead Mazda. Without giving away too much, what are you most excited about for the dealers to hear directly, from their peers about the power of transparency and how they can actually put this to work at their stores?
Well, as someone who spent the vast majority of my career in retail automotive, I think it's so valuable to hear from people that have done it, how they've done it, right? And what they've done and the steps that they took. And I thought what would be most valuable that we could deliver at the convention was a session with people that have taken this journey and seen the results that it gets. Every one of those individuals that will be on that panel are people that have seen massive increases in volume and gross, have delivered a seamless and frictionless customer checkout experience using AutoFi as a big component of what drives that. Yeah. And so what I really wanted to craft was, instead of me, as much as I love speaking and getting on stage and bloviating about all the cool things that are happening and telling stories and cracking jokes and
Not
having
you,
fun.
Joe.
Not me. I wanted to get people that have actually done it and put them on stage to give them a chance to share what it actually takes to be successful with this. Because I think there's a misconception in the dealer base that this is like totally disruptive and really hard and challenging, and my people are going to freak out. Yeah. And these are people that can say, no, my people loved it. It was awesome. And I think having, a dealer principal who bought a new point and started there and all of a sudden started breaking record after record, to a GM that's been running a really successful Ford store and a really successful group, moving into the first, Ford Signature 2.0 facility and supporting it with AutoFi checkout experience on the showroom, and all of a sudden seeing the results do this, to someone that's literally leading training across all of variable operations in a group that's using AutoFi, who's training salespeople how to close car deals day in, day out with AutoFi, being able to speak about what that digital transformation actually looks like in terms that as a dealer, I can write down notes and take back to my dealership to start implementing immediately. And so I wanted to highlight those individuals and give them a platform to really spread the message of what this can mean in real dealer terms and real dealer dollars.
Yeah, for sure. So, Joe, let me stay on you for a second. For years, consumers, as we've have said here, have told us that the most confusing part of the car buying experience is understanding their real payment. How does bringing transparency or a transparent, accurate payment calculations earlier into the journey change trust and better outcomes for both shoppers and dealers?
Yeah, I think we have like an archetypical reputation in the mind of a customer when they come to visit a dealership, right? The data is really strong. 92% of those customers are shopping online before they show up. Yeah. They're spending on average between 14 and 17 hours doing research before they come to the dealership. Yep. And then they show up and they have this concept of how they're going to be treated, how their time's going to be disrespected. Customers aren't upset about time. They're upset about their time being wasted. Right. And they want the time that they spend at the dealership to be valuable. Right. And so one of the things that I've personally found using AutoFi is that from the, like at this store, from the greeting, they're telling customers about how they do things differently, and then they actually do those things differently, right? They describe up front, hey, this is your first time here. Let me just tell you about what makes this weird. First off, and they walk through and they say, when it comes down to it, I'm not running back. I'm going to turn my screen, we're going to do it together. And so from the very jump, they're trying to establish trust. And then to deliver against that, we have to execute really flawlessly with a lot of discipline on not allowing those dead steps to exist in the process.
Right.
I've seen so many car deals. I was at a Volkswagen store with a salesperson. There was no like seat for me to sit down. The customer was looking at 2 different vehicles. They wanted to drive both of them, but they wanted to know what the payments were on both of those vehicles before they drove them.
Sure.
Now, as a former sales manager, what would I have told my salesperson? You got to land them on a vehicle, bro. I'm not giving payments out till we've landed on a vehicle and we've driven it.
That's right.
I did the opposite of what I was trained. I said, okay, great. Silver one, 682 or 650, right? The black one's 787.
Right.
They went and drove them. They came back. They sat down. The wife looks at the husband and goes, okay, well, what do you think? And he goes, I don't know which one you want. She goes, well, I really like the black one, but it's, $130 more than the silver one. And he goes, okay, babe, but that's like, I don't know, $3-4 a day. Like, we can afford the difference if you really like the black one. I don't know. It's a lot of money. Well, babe, it's up to you. What do you want to do? She goes, I think I want to do the black one. And turns to me and goes, I'll do the black one. Like,
done. They close themselves.
I would have landed them on the silver one.
Yeah.
And I would have ground away on the silver one, and I would have tried to sell them the car they didn't want as much as the other one. Because I'd been trained in the method of selling cars that has existed since cars got invented.
That's right.
And so for me, I think that the more that we can differentiate ourselves as dealers along trust, through transparency and value and experience, the more we stand to gain those customers that have a great experience, who we know are the ones that we make more money off of.
That's right.
And so for us, I think that it is a unbelievably powerful tool for a dealer that is looking to streamline and maximize their operation and deliver an experience to a customer that truly feels different and wows them at the part that they dread and hate the most.
Yeah,
and that's what AutoFi is set out to solve. And over the last 3 years, through the sweat and grind of Kevin and the entire team, I think that we've delivered to the market something that actually does that. Yeah, and I'm unbelievably proud of it.
For sure. Kevin, I'll give you the last word here in our list, 30 to 40 seconds. What do you want to leave the dealers with before they head out to NADA?
I think, for us in AutoFi, I think everyone gets like, hey, there's, every year there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, challenging times ahead.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about like control what you can control.
Yeah.
Right. And what you can control is delivering an exceptional selling experience.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's right.
Through hard work, Joe and I have been together on this journey for almost 10 years.
Yeah, wow.
Right. And we are just relentless.
Yeah.
We never give up. We iterate with our customers. That is the beauty of a startup, is like we constantly make our products better and better and better. And, I realized that we finally hit on something really impactful when we were in a large group in the Northeast, about 50 stores, that's implemented this technology and said, guys, like, we are counting on you to run our business now. Yeah. And I think that was a breakthrough, like, to know that, like, hey, like, there's a better way to do this. Yeah. And like, your like teams are going to get around this, and you can win by creating transparency, by creating trust of your customers. You're actually not going to give up gross. You're not going to hold your business behind, but you're going to run a better retail operation.
Yeah, for sure.
I think now, through a lot of work and trial and error with our customers, like, AutoFi is ready to deliver that for you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I commend you for putting up with Joe and his enthusiasm for 10 years. That's like dog years, right? That's like 100. But Kevin Singerman, CEO and co-founder of AutoFi, along with the incomparable Joe St. John, brand ambassador at AutoFi. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. I'm anxious to come out and get the full demo out at NADA. Many of you out there, these are the kind of solutions dealers that we want to be bringing you here at CBT News. If I were a dealer today, you've heard me say this before about some other services in the industry, not a lot. This would be definitely on my short list to check out, because this brings all of everything that we're looking for in the industry for the consumer, for the salesperson, for the desk manager, and most importantly, for your bottom line at your dealership. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks for watching this special edition of Driving Solutions exclusively on CBT News.